So one thing I found that a lot of people don't really mention when discussing this whole Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate controversy, alleged criminal acts of human trafficking, is his background of being brought up within a military family. So I went to go find a few videos that I'm going to play talking about a little bit more about his background that I don't really hear many people talking about. And I think it's relevant because the main question I'm asking here is, how can ideas about masculinity, command, hierarchy, and sexual entitlement be interpreted or distorted inside a family, particularly one that is raised within military ideas? So I'm going to play a little bit of this video and then we'll talk about it in a second.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate.
This is Andrew Tate's $1 billion empire going from a starving kickboxer to the most Googled man in the world. But is he really who he says he is? Chapter 1. Suspicious Upbringings. On December 1st of 1986, Emory Andrew Tate III was born at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Washington, D.C. His mother Eileen met his father Emory Tate II in the UK while he was working for the Air Force before moving to the United States to start a family.
We have Eileen, Andrew, and Tristan.
But Andrew's upbringing was far from normal.
My father worked for the CIA. He was a linguist. When you join the Air Force, you do a test. He did fantastically in the IQ test. He's top 1 percentiles, and he learned Russian, German, Spanish.
In addition, he was also a 5-time military chess champion. His grandfather, Emory Tate Sr., was also a World War II veteran who specialized in bare-knuckle boxing across the state of Georgia. While living with his father, he was trained in physical and mental warfare from a young age, coming second place in county wrestling at 4, and becoming a chess prodigy, beating adults by the age of 6. In 1997, his parents divorced and his mother moved back to Luton in the UK in order to raise Andrew and his 2 younger siblings with government and family support. His mother signed the 2 boys up for a self-defense course in the absence of his father's strength. It was here he would meet Amir Subasic, a Bosnian martial artist who fought in his country's wars, then immigrated to Luton to start Storm Gym on November 1st of 1999. In addition, he also pursued his own MMA career. Andrew worked a minimum wage job at a fish market before quitting to pursue his fighting career. He quickly became Amir's star pupil, winning fights around England, but the brothers were still dead broke.
Previous sales experience, I was at the time working in sales. I said, I made this much sales, etc. I'll pay the rent, you keep fighting, because I was helping to support his kickboxing career. One day Andrew looks at me and he says, you know what, Tristan, I'm just going to start selling for the same company you're selling for. And I said, Andrew, no, you can't do that.
Chapter 2. Getting Rich. In order to increase his pay as a fighter, he needed to increase his popularity, which he did through becoming a showman and creating a larger-than-life personality. His humble demeanor disappeared, instead mastering his ability to play the role nobody wanted to, the villain.
Sidekick, pay me money. To talk about how amazing sidekick is.
I managed to turn my small sidekick, well, I say small, they pay me £1,000 a month, my sidekick money into 21 grand.
But how was he getting all of these belts? Was he really the 76-9 4-time kickboxing world champion? Technically, the answer is yes. He traveled across Europe competing in smaller sanctioned competitions in order to win belts. These tournaments had notoriously bad conditions, including multiple fights per day and crazy weight cuts.
I'm ready to kill. I don't do this for fun. This is not a sport to me, I don't enjoy it. I hate training. I hate fighting. This is I was born for this, I have no choice. I'm in there to kill. That's it, pain. That's all I know.
Oftentimes, the fighters he beat had only ever fought him on record, which makes his career accomplishments seem suspiciously crafted. However, he continued to curate his image, appearing on more reality TV shows like Infusion, where he lived and competed against other fighters, or Big Brother.
So they took me into the diary room and they said, we're really concerned about the dynamic of the house. This is all off camera. Yeah. So they sat and thought, this is a liability. We got to get this guy out of here. So they used the sex tape as an excuse.
Okay.
So it was all bullshit.
He also started The Hateful Tate, a 29-episode docuseries where he had a videographer follow his life.
Started doing this Hateful Tate thing with my man Dave.
You might have a very boring 2 months if it's just me working and doing what I normally do outside the ring, which is basically just work.
But this is when he got stuck again.
Invested in this place in Thailand, this property. So I needed money fast. And I said to Tristan, look, I owe us 70 grand. So I'm going to lock myself in my room and I'm not going to leave till I've made it. I'm writing down all my assets. The only thing I had was, because I'd been fighting all around the world, I had these 6 girlfriends going around the internet, and I saw in the corner, talk to live girls now. My girls can do that. And me and my brother, and eventually some staff I trained, would do all the talking. The girls were just pure, just famoosers.
Do you speak English?
No.
We were taking their money.
Do you like Mr. Tate?
Tate?
Andrew?
Yes.
All of it. If they come and say, well, what kind of, bro, all of it. We were fucking milking them dry.
With money coming in, he wasn't willing to sacrifice his new business in order to compete at the highest level of kickboxing, where he'd face world-class competition. Instead, he and Tristan stopped traveling to double down on the webcam business, where they managed over 75 women, taking a cut of their earnings. The only time Andrew would even consider fighting is if the money and the viewership built his brand. He claimed to have made over $7 million from this business in total. However, this wasn't without controversy.
She went to the police.
Oh, shit.
And told the police I hit her. When I did 5 in the morning, 4 months later, I'm laying in bed. And I heard the door, boom, 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 boom. Like, you're under arrest for a suspicion of assault of this dumb hoe.
The Tate brothers are involved in over 6 major legal investigations, alongside 21 other charges, all linked to this period. He was the face of this business, so in order to avoid the legal heat, he handed all the operations off to Tristan.
My brother runs an OnlyFans agency. I'll be honest. So my brother's making 200 grand a month from OnlyFans.
And this is when he started his next operation.
I own 10% of RXF, which is the Romanian UFC. And I'm sitting here and I do the commentary, the English commentary. So I'm commentating. And one of the main sponsors is this casino brand. And this casino brand is owned by 3 brothers. I overheard them say something like they turn over like 18 million a day or something ridiculous money.
He loved businesses that prey on addiction, and he understood the temptation to gamble himself.
There's no live dealers, it's just machines. So it's like arcade setup.
The casino are now being spent on slot machines.
Not being spent, being invested.
Chapter 3, The Most Googled Man. Tate was successful, but he wasn't growing at the rate he wanted. Andrew thought he was going to run his casinos and fade off into the Romanian underworld. But fate had different plans for him.
China has identified the cause of the mysterious new virus. Coronavirus.
Fears a rapidly spreading virus has reached Australia.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
We'll be suspending all travel from Europe.
Italy this evening, it just gets worse.
And everyone to work at home if possible, postpone unnecessary travel.
His casinos lost almost all their revenue overnight, but it wasn't all bad. He was now stuck in his compound and was back to scheming new ways to make money. This is when he came across the internet marketing gurus like Tai Lopez making millions of dollars.
I keep seeing the same shit by morons, day in, day out. I scroll up and down through this fucking thing on my phone, and it genuinely pisses me off.
He was already used to playing the villain, so why not do it on social media?
I fucking hate everybody.
To me, if you sit and say humans should be vegetarian, it's the same as saying I don't believe in gravity. Cure attention deficit disorder for any child. Watch me cure it with old school violence. Rev. It's like, fuck off, mate. You don't pay the fucking petrol bill.
He started CobraTate.com with a host of online courses related to different aspects of his life. His ideal customer was the exact same desperate middle-aged man that was paying the webcam models. The only difference was that the vehicle for the solution had changed. To attract them, he would make controversial tweets in addition to launching his new series, Tate Confidential. He kept his iconic style. The only difference was that he had far more money to burn and a new cameraman in his cousin Luke, who had previously worked at Chipotle. He wasn't viral yet, but important people were starting to take notice.
I just actually met Donald Trump Jr. about a month or a month and a half before this. So I have him on WhatsApp. He's my boy. And I've got 2 or 3 very important Romanian politicians, high level, like Secretary of State, etc. on WhatsApp.
Tate was annoyed that he wasn't more famous yet. He had every reason to go viral, but still, nobody was paying attention. This was when he started studying mass movements and cults. He changed his customer from middle-aged men to young men, a far more susceptible market. He created an enemy larger than life and named it The Matrix, and a solution originally called Hustlers University before rebranding it to The Real World. He became a master orator to deliver his messages clearly.
I move my hands all the time. You can watch any of my take speeches, I move my hands. If you watch me on Twitter or Instagram, I move my hands when I talk. I'm always moving my hands when I talk, and this is a habit I've learned.
And the missing piece, he created a pyramid-shaped affiliate distribution program. This is during 2021 when everybody was home and short-form content was on the rise. Because of this, the algorithms were easily exploitable and even encouraged creators to spam post in order to supply the endless demand from doom scrollers. Tate fronted the initial cash to get the operation rolling, but after he had momentum, here's how the process would work. A young man would see Tate clips and get curious about who this guy was. He would find longer format content of Tate, further increasing his trust with him. Then he would see that he could achieve everything Tate had for the small price of $50 a month. After he had joined, he was given a variety of different business models, but decided to join the clipping team for some reason. Unlike e-commerce or copywriting that he knew nothing about, he understood short-form content, especially Tate's.
I'm about to reveal how I've generated a little bit over $5,700 with the affiliate program inside Andrew Tate's community, and how you can easily do that too.
And finally, he was provided with every single editing guide or resource he'd ever need, along with Tate jetting around and attending every single podcast he could. In less than a year of this strategy, he became omnipresent and his follower count exploded endlessly. His program, The Real World, was making $11 million per month on subscription alone. In addition to this, he also had his private mastermind group, The War Room. This program served that older demographic of Andrew Tate fans, but had a much higher price point. Essentially, it was a group of Telegram chats with a focus on network and discussing strategies with other high-value men. They would also have in-person events where they lived the Tate lifestyle. The brothers had become wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, but they really had no clue what to do with all this money. But just like the story of Icarus, Andrew flew too close to the sun.
At Vistaprint, we know you've got that idea for your business,
like the trade show or the second location.
But once that idea's on signage, giveaways, and apparel,
it's so happening.
Print your possible with code NEW20 for 20% off your first order at vistaprint.ca.
Chapter 4. Power Games.
For 6 straight months, Andrew Tate has trended. He's been the most Googled man on the planet. But in recent days,
virtually every tech company on the planet banned him. He's taken off Instagram
and Facebook. Both of his accounts have been suspended.
And now TikTok.
Why did Andrew Tate get banned?
They did not tell me. They did not send me an email. Nobody told me, whether it was YouTube that banned me or Meta that banned me. They banned me instantly and forever without any kind of correspondence.
Overnight, the Tate brothers had dozens of hit pieces on them. The world was divided, and at the peak of this fame, you either hated them or you loved them. Andrew publicly adopted the teaching of Islam during this period, which, regardless of whether genuine, was a part of restoring his image.
I understand that you get 3 strikes in this game. Strike 1 is they try and shut you up and discredit you, which I've just been through. Strike 2 is they try and put you in jail for no reason. And strike 3.
The controversial social media influencer Andrew Tate has been arrested in Romania.
Why do you say that about? Are the accusations realistic?
The Matrix has attacked me.
So a very short response from him, led away there with his brother. Inside, when they raided that property, police found guns, they found knives and wads.
I don't know what's happening, right? Like, what really happened, and why is Romania going after him? Are they being pressured by someone else to do this? Like, what is the reason why they're doing it, and what do they have on him? I don't know.
The suspects organized a criminal
all-male society, the War Room.
As for the allegations against Tate,
BBC has uncovered evidence that dozens of women were potentially groomed into online sex work by the influencer.
He is not a human trafficker. He would never rape anybody, and he would certainly never ever human traffic anyone.
It's recently reported that schools across the UK are in crisis as the effects of online influencer Andrew Tate's vile misogyny infiltrates our classrooms and society.
As a brother and a close friend over 15 years, I spent a lot of time with Andrew behind the scenes, behind the sunglasses and all the content you see. and he's one of the nicest, most loving guys there is.
Talk to me about what was going through your mind in that moment.
I was scared to death. I was terrified that I might die.
I just want to put out there that everything you're seeing on the news right now is all false accusation. As for someone who knows him personally, I can confidently say that he's such a nice man. He's very generous. I think the media is just portraying a really bad image of him.
And then came December 29th of 2022. After 6 months locked away, he was back. But things seemed different now. He had more lawsuits than he could count, and due to his Romanian case, he was forced to stay on house arrest. In his time away, his clipping army had died down since he hadn't created any new content and also had no major accounts to connect with his followers. He only posted on X and Rumble, but he had lost access to majority of his audience. Eventually, he went back to his usual content, but people were starting to get tired. When was he going to launch his counterattack on the Matrix? He spent his days tweeting, getting more involved in the crypto space, and even rug pulling some meme coins himself. Just like how he got started with social media, he saw the business of influencer boxing during this time and knew he could do better. This is when, in October of 2025, he was publicly announced as the CEO of Misfits Boxing, and that he had a fight with influencer boxer Chase Damour for the heavyweight title on December 20th.
Say hello to your new CEO. I wouldn't say it was a hostile takeover, but it was certainly planned. And Mams and I are going to be working together to finally put Misfits where it belongs on the world stage.
Immediately, the hype was back, and all that attention he had lost during his time away had come right back to him. To capitalize on this, he partnered with online casino Duel.com. This created even more controversy as it goes against the teachings of Islam. However, given his history in the casino business and crazy deals these companies give out, it kinda makes sense why he did this. Now, everybody thought he was going to give Chase a beatdown, but that couldn't be further from the truth.
Fight.
And still, the Misfits Boxing Heavyweight Champion of the World.
Out there, you didn't give up. Talk to us about what it feels like to be back here.
Yeah, I'm 10 years out, 4 years old. Gave it my all, but he's tough. I don't know what to say. He's really tough. Chase deserves this win. I'm really happy for him, genuinely.
Do you have a message to all the fans back home that are watching you?
It's okay to lose, but it's not okay to not try. You have to. He's younger than me. He's 20 kilo bigger than me. He's more active than me. I didn't fight a pussy. I fought the champs.
Going into 2026, things only got worse for him when he went to a streamer meetup and ran into some controversy, to say the least. Now, Tate has always been a hustler. He's announced publicly that he wants to run to be the Prime Minister of England in the future, but in order to make that a reality, he needs to clean up his brand. Regardless of whether he becomes the next Donald Trump, I'm sure we'll have more in store for the near future. Alright, that was awesome, and if you'd like to watch the advanced breakdown of Andrew Tate's personal brand, you can click right here or the top link in the description. Now, I hope the time you spent on this video was worth the value you got in return, and I will see you in the next one.
Okay. I'm going to play one more video about his dad. This might be a little bit more conspiracy type video, but let's just listen to it and see here.
So your dad was in the CIA, right?
Yes.
And growing up, you're learning chess off your dad. He's teaching you about the CIA operations that he may have been involved with. You and I both know the CIA like to control both sides of narratives geopolitically.
Yeah.
They own the good side of the argument and they own the bad side of the argument.
Yeah.
So people have got it in their heads that you could be, controlled opposition in this case. Are you controlled opposition?
Well, I see why some people may think that, I guess. I mean, it's pretty empty logic though, because I think what I try and do is convince people to think for themselves as opposed to make them think anything at all.
From the masculine perspective, if you're controlled opposition, yeah, you've got a good narrative. But from the female perspective, if you're controlled opposition, you could potentially have a different perspective.
Yeah, but if I was controlled opposition, I don't think I would have gone to jail.
So your dad was in the CIA.
So that's interesting. So his dad is obviously military. His dad is obviously CIA. This is Andrew Tate himself admitting it. And I think that's important to talk about because I want to be able to identify when leadership becomes domination, when discipline becomes exploitation, when service becomes self-glorification. And obviously there is a history of sex trafficking when it comes to deployments. And I want to know, and I'm asking the question, what responsibilities do the military institutions have when deployments create a demand for commercial sex. And before anybody says, no, that's not the case, this doesn't happen, the military is innocent, so on and so forth, I'm going to go through a few more videos. These are just news clippings of specific cases where you can see military bases being used as a hub, per se, for human trafficking, sex trafficking, but also arms trafficking, and so on and so forth, labor trafficking. Let's play some of those. The first one is more of a testimony, first-hand account, so we'll take it with a grain of salt, but then we'll come back and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
I would just like to preface this video. I did not kill myself. If I go missing or end up murdered, the people potentially responsible could possibly be located here at Camp Pendleton. Hello, my name is Cassandra Perez. Please share this video with anybody and everybody. This is a warning to the public. To not jeopardize the ongoing investigation, I will not be releasing the name of the victim. However, I will be releasing details to the public to help prevent harm and hopefully find others willing to share their story. My niece is under the age of 18 and has learning disabilities. On June 10th, she went missing, and on June 27th, she was found on Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton is a military base in Oceanside, San Diego. She was found in the barracks by military police. She had been sold to a soldier for sex. The military is trying to cover it up. They are trying to cover it up and place majority of the blame on her. However, the reality is the whole facility allowed this to happen. The security looked her in the face and allowed this man to bring a minor onto base, where he then proceeded to have sex with her. Due to her age, she could not have given this consent. We've just had an interview with someone referred to us by the military. In this meeting, we were told by the affiliated personnel that the military detective assigned to the case is trying to cover this up. As you can imagine, this is upsetting and absolutely unacceptable. I have the lead detective's name and phone number and will be releasing it to the public pending confirmation from our attorney. Our hope in doing so is to both bring attention to my niece's case and to ensure that this does not go away upon release of more details. We hope you would join us in calling and demanding both release of details as well as the pursuit of justice. Our family is worried about retaliation from the military and the man that has trafficked my niece. We believe they could be working together and covering this up, and that the military is only trying to protect their property. Some of my family is scared, but I'm not. I'm aware that the military and the sex traffickers know where we live, and that's okay. That's all right. I'll be waiting for you when you get here, because if you're gonna fuck around, you're gonna find out.
In addition to alleged ties to a hate group, Nix is also accused of trafficking firearms. Making the decision to visit a recruiting office and enlisting in the armed forces is an important decision. If convicted, Nix could face up to 30 years in prison. This active duty soldier stationed at Fort Liberty made his first federal court appearance today. Kai Liam Nix is facing serious federal charges. Investigators accuse the 20-year-old of trafficking guns, including the sale of 2 stolen firearms. He's also charged with making a false statement to the government. If convicted, he could spend up to 30 years in prison. Court documents claim Nix made a false statement on this. It's a security clearance application known as an SF-86. Investigators say on the lengthy form, he claimed he had never been a member of a group dedicated to the use of violence or force to overthrow the U.S. government. The Southern Poverty Law Center claims Nix belonged to Patriot Front. It's described as a white supremacist group. Tonight I reached out to a number of lawyers and professors who specialize in military law. We wanted to find out the consequences involved and how Nix's application made it through the security clearance process. I also contacted the Office of the Federal Public Defender in Raleigh to see if Nix's public defender would provide comment on their client. A number of organizations are prosecuting this case, including the U.S. Attorney's Office for Eastern District and the National Security Division's Counterterrorism Section. Aaron Thomas, WREO News, Cary.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
A sex trafficking case centers on Milwaukee's Soldiers Home. The details are disturbing. Jason Calvi tells us one of two defendants was in court today.
Kim, prosecutors say the young woman had just aged out of foster care and then moved in with the two defendants here at Milwaukee's Soldiers Home. Prosecutors say the defendants soon gave an ultimatum: be sexually trafficked or move out. Investigators say the victim was trafficked about 40 times, averaging 5 to 12 times a day, all inside the apartment. Prosecutors say the money was split 50-50 between the victim and the defendants. This is a Housing Authority of Milwaukee property. Hackham tells me, quote, the allegations in this case are extremely concerning, and our thoughts are with the young person involved. It says residents are background checked and there's routine inspections of the units. But Hackham says it and the property management company did not receive any complaints. Defendant Sarah Cooney was in court today and pleaded not guilty to receiving money for human trafficking. Defendant Derek Brown was supposed to be in court this afternoon, but his case was delayed since his attorney was working on another trial. Brown is charged with receiving money for human trafficking and keeping a place of prostitution. This is Milwaukee's Soldiers Home. This is known as Old Main. It dates back to just a year or two after the Civil War. Reporting live in Milwaukee, Jason Calvi, Fox 6 News.
Jason, thank you for that update.
Okay, so let me just jump in quickly and say, this is important to talk about in context to Andrew Tate because it's interesting. It's interesting to consider how a child may grow up to admire the image of a powerful, strategic, and an emotionally untouchable person, especially somebody like a father figure, without necessarily being raised with the moral restraints that should come with having that type of power. And historically, military deployments have created these markets around bases, ports, and conflict zones, obviously, right? And so that's important to think about when considering how this goes unchecked for so long.
To the United States, the world knows about America's military might. The U.S. military has a global reach. It can demonstrate its power in any theater of conflict. But the same fighting force has a dark underbelly. And in the next few minutes, we will tell you about an expose that embarrasses the American military. The U.S. operates multiple military bases in the Persian Gulf. In at least 4 bases, workers became victims of abusive labor practices. Who were these victims? Foreign workers, those who were hired by defense contractors. There is a long list of infractions. The details have been published by the Washington Post and the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. Let's tell you what these workers went through. They were prevented from leaving their homes or looking for new jobs. There were thousands of these migrant workers.
Hold on, I want to pause that because, yeah, this is a foreign news station, but at the same time, if you look at, I'm going to pull it on the screen, but if you look at the same accusations that these U.S. military bases in the Persian Gulf are facing, you can see the similarities between that and the Tate's lawsuits. Let me pull it up really quickly. I'll let her keep speaking though. Basically what it says for people who can't see the screen, prevent people from returning home, looking for better work, their passports are confiscated, they've been saddled with onerous debts after paying illegal release papers. Okay, I'm just going to rewind her a little bit here.
They were prevented from leaving their homes or looking for new jobs. There were thousands of these migrant workers employed at these bases. Their passports were confiscated. They were saddled with massive debt. And they were denied release papers once they left. More than 30 current and former workers have blown the whistle. They made these complaints public in separate interviews. There are court documents that describe these abuses in detail. And as you read through these reports, the details of the crimes committed by the contractors only get more horrific. There are claims of labor trafficking. In the past 5 years, the Pentagon has responded to 176 cases. There were more workers who were trafficked. How many more? According to another report, thousands of workers were trafficked into labor. They were brought in by private contractors to the US bases. These contractors acted like middlemen. They promised lucrative jobs to these workers. And to get these jobs, the workers paid extremely high recruitment fees. In one of the cases, a worker paid as much as $10,000 for a job. You heard that right, $10,000. Many workers took on debt in search of a better life. But once they moved to work at the US military base, their nightmare started. Workers were forced to accept a salary that was less than what they were promised. They were pressured to sign improper contracts. They had to work long hours, and in some cases, they even faced physical abuse. Clearly, the military contractors were at...
Let me rewind that real quick, just for the people in the back who might have missed that, okay? Think about the Andrew Tate lawsuit and Tristan Tate. Think about what they're being charged with, okay? And the allegations from their alleged victims. I'm just going to rewind it a little bit. Actually, let me read it really quickly. Abdullah is one of thousands of people allegedly trafficked into labor by private contractors on U.S. military bases where workers have been paid less than promised, charged recruiting fees, and then leave them deep in debt, and pressured to sign improper contracts and work long hours according to government reports. And in some cases, they even faced physical abuse. That sounds very, very unfortunately familiar.
Abuse. They even faced physical abuse.
Okay, thank you. Let's go.
Clearly, the military contractors were at fault here. But what about the role of the Pentagon? What did the US Defense Department do about this? Well, their response leaves a lot to be desired. The Pentagon acted in 176 incidents. This was between 2017 and 2021, but there were clearly more workers who needed help. In 2020, there were substantiated violations in more than 900 cases. Confirmed reports of military contractors abusing over 900 workers. But the Pentagon does not like sharing this information. In fact, they have not revealed the names of the contractors found guilty of violations, and this is despite repeated requests. How does the US Department of Defense respond to these reports now? The Pentagon has put out a statement. I'm quoting, "The Department of Defense promotes the US government's zero-tolerance policy on trafficking in persons. The department continues to work diligently on combating human trafficking because these activities violate human rights and harm our national security mission," quote unquote. Clearly, workers working for American bases deserve better. The US government has a responsibility to take care of them. Instead, they are becoming targets to what are clear violations of basic human rights. Yes, those same rights that the Biden administration promises to uphold time and again. President Joe Biden pledged to make the US government more accountable. He cannot fulfill that promise until he appoints the much-needed watchdogs to oversee his massive military force. WION now available in your country. Download the app now.
Tonight, the bombshell arrest in a human trafficking sting operation in Georgia. 64-year-old Stephen Hovanek is a senior official with the Department of Defense Education Activity. That's the military agency that runs schools around the world for children of service members.
To know that one of the senior officials in that very organization were actually, in part of something that's as unethical and immoral as it can get, I think it's very disturbing.
I know, it's so bad. New video released by Coweta County Sheriff's Office shows Hovanek walking into a motel room with an undercover agent pretending to be a prostitute.
Steve, by the way. Hey, nice to meet you. How you doing?
Hovanek asks if the agent will do 30 minutes before she discusses payment. Hovanek presents cash to the agent, who sets the money on the table and excuses herself to go to the bathroom. Just moments later,
Sheriff's office, put your hands up. Hey, I'm not doing anything. Put your hands up. I'm not doing anything.
Hovanek now facing a pandering charge, just one of 26 people arrested during the two-night sting operation in connection to the alleged human trafficking ring.
Pandering is a charge that's ordinarily reserved for a consumer of sex crimes. If the transaction is caught on audio and video, then a defendant is usually going to be thinking about a plea and not going to trial, because that would probably be a loser.
Harleston Sheriff Stacy Williams, whose office assisted the Coweta County Sheriff's Office with the sting operation, said in a statement to NBC News, quote, "We look forward to working together again in our pursuit of justice for these victims." The DODEA saying they are aware of the alleged incident but would not comment any further. But Hovanek's former role, Chief of Staff for the Americas Division, is now listed as vacant on the DODEA website. Neither Hovanek nor his attorney could be reached for comment.
It's got to just be horrible for all the people who are doing a good job with the DODEA, to find out that somebody like that is doing something at the highest levels is just really hard to hear.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.
The perfect domain tells your brand story. Grab it now on Wix Domains and go from what if.
Now to our NBC News investigation. Disturbing allegations that foreign workers at some U.S. military bases overseas are the victims of human trafficking. Our report, produced in collaboration with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, the Washington Post, and Arab Reporters for Investigative Journalism. Here's Courtney Kuby.
They're America's beacons around the globe, U.S. military bases where our troops serve thousands of miles away from home. But these bases are also homes away from home for another group of people. Thousands of low-paid employees like these, who take the bus from crowded living quarters to work in kitchens and clean the barracks on base.
We are human beings. We are not robots, right?
Abdullah, who wanted his identity concealed for his safety, worked for a Saudi contractor called Tamimi Global that has been awarded $250 million by the U.S. military since 2007. From a rural village in Bangladesh, Abdullah said he and his mother took out loans to pay thousands of dollars to a recruiter working for Tamimi in the hopes that a job in Kuwait could help his family back home.
They told me face to face. They said 200 KD for a month, accommodation free, food free, everything free.
But when he got to the U.S. Army base in Kuwait in 2016, instead of the promise of $680 a month, he said he was paid less than half that.
They said now only 40 KD is contract, this is signed.
He also says the company took his passport so he could not go home. Charging recruitment fees, underpaying workers, and withholding their passports all violate the U.S. government's zero-tolerance policy when it comes to labor trafficking.
They didn't get any days off. They worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, for like 3 years.
Army contracting officer LaGrace Roberts Harvey oversaw Tamimi's cafeteria contracts in Kuwait during the 2 years Abdullah worked there. She was terminated in 2018.
It was really terrible that they have to leave their country, come to another country, get mistreated, and still not be able to take care of your family.
A U.S. Army investigation concluded there was enough evidence to ban Tamimi for labor trafficking violations in 2017, but instead of a ban, the Army imposed a monitoring agreement. And last year, the Pentagon awarded Tamimi another contract for $10 million. In a statement to NBC News, Tamimi said it is proud of its partnership with the U.S., complies with rules to combat trafficking, and cares deeply for their staff. The statement said, "We do everything we can to avoid improper recruitment practices and no longer hold passports for safekeeping." The Pentagon's own investigators found 176 violations of labor trafficking rules by military contractors in the last 5 years. But the Pentagon would not disclose the names of those companies that trafficked workers.
The way that they're treated is similar to what some might call modern-day slavery.
Letitia Love from the Government Accountability Office examined how the military tracks labor trafficking. She found the Pentagon is supposed to enter violations into a database other agencies can see, but did not put in a single entry for 5 years.
Which means we are entering into contracts, potentially with risky partners, without knowing it.
Did DOD just drop the ball here?
They did.
So while DOD was not prioritizing this, who was suffering?
The victims of forced labor. The other thing that really frustrates me, our taxpayer dollars are being used potentially to support forced labor and human trafficking, and that's just unacceptable.
In a statement to NBC News, the Pentagon said they continue to work diligently on combating human trafficking because these activities violate human rights and harm our national security mission.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top story.
Clearly, there is a lot of similarities between the Tate's lawsuit and what's been recorded, documented legally with the United States government and human trafficking with the military. Obviously, we heard earlier, the Tate's brother's father is military/CIA. And so, is it possible that large groups of well-paid men can create demand in communities that are impoverished and unstable for human trafficking, labor trafficking, even arms trafficking, so on and so forth? I do have one more. Let me see here that I want to play.
Wow.
Oh, we got an ad. Okay, hold on. And the normalization of it. If you see your father doing it, does that normalize prostitution? If you see men that you admire that seem powerful, does that normalize prostitution? Does that make you think it's just business? Let's see.
Guys, for 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chairman McClintock, Ranking Member Japal, and distinguished members of the committee. It is an honor to be here. I thank you for the invitation to share my testimony. My goal is to inspire action to safeguard the lives of migrant children, including the staggering 85,000 that are missing. Today, children will work overnight shifts at slaughterhouses, factories, restaurants to pay their debts to smugglers and traffickers. Today, children will be sold for sex. Today, children will call a hotline to report they are being abused, neglected, and trafficked, and we don't know if they're going to get the help they need. For nearly a decade, unaccompanied children have been suffering in the shadows, and I have to confess I knew nothing about their suffering until 2021, when I volunteered to help the Biden administration with the crisis at the southern border. As part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex Emergency Intake Site in California to help HHS, Office of Refugee Resettlement, reunite children with sponsors in the United States. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the U.S. border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations. Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children. As for me, my interest is the safety of the children. I do not view this as a political issue. I view this as a humanitarian issue. I assure you, my motives are the highest and best. I want the children protected. So I want to tell you some of what I witnessed personally at the Pomona Fairplex. I saw vulnerable indigenous children from Guatemala who speak Mayan dialects and cannot speak Spanish. That means they cannot ask for help in English. They cannot ask for help in Spanish. They become captives of their sponsors. I have sat with case managers as they've cried to tell me the horror of what has happened to children as they make the journey to this country. I saw apartment buildings where 20, 30, and 40 unaccompanied minors have been released. I saw sponsors trying to simultaneously sponsor children from multiple ORR sites at one time. I saw sponsors using multiple addresses to obtain sponsorships of children. And I saw numerous cases of children in debt bondage, and the child knew they had to stay with the sponsor until the debt was paid. Realizing that we were not offering the children the American dream, but instead putting them in modern-day slavery with wicked overlords, was a terrible revelation. A terrible revelation. These children are a captive victim population with no access to law enforcement or knowledge of their rights. They are extorted, abused, neglected, and that is why I blew the whistle in 2021. I witnessed firsthand the horrors of child trafficking and exploitation. My life will never be the same after what I saw, but I have hope because I'm counting on you. It's my hope that you'll take action to end this crisis, to safeguard the lives of these vulnerable children. People have asked me, what can be done? What would you suggest? Well, first, I think HHS's #1 priority is oversight. They must commit to oversight, transparency, and accountability. If I could wave a magic wand, this, I believe, could be quickly solved by experts in the IG community. There is a Pandemic Analytics Center of Excellence, or the PACE, as we call it. I believe if data analysts at the PACE could look at the data, children could be rescued, criminals could be prosecuted. If the PACE had access to this data, it shows where the children are and who has them. I think also we need to change the culture of speed over safety. Speed is the wrong performance measure when dealing with children. We need to revamp the vetting process of sponsors and have case managers who have investigative backgrounds, data analytics backgrounds, some certified fraud examiners. And I think we need to reimagine a system where the sponsor is the accountable party. Sponsors should be required to report to ORR. And lastly, stop retaliating against whistleblowers. Stop retaliating against the people who are trying to tell the truth to save the children. As it is written, a wise man listens to advice while a fool continues in his folly, and HHS needs to be wise to care for these children.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and what's interesting about that, isn't Myron Gaines, ex-Homeland Security person? Anyways, that's known on YouTube. Myron Gaines is friends of Andrew Tate, the Red Pill community. And you can really see when putting these news clippings up together how this system really operates. I'm going to end this live stream very shortly, but I do want to read this article, not the full thing. This headline from the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. This is the publication that investigates all financial frauds and things like that. Adult webcam platform paid $2.6 million into controversial influencer Tristan Tate's bank account. Leaked documents show the ICIJ found Paxum Bank, favored by the porn industry, processed Tate's transactions until shortly before he and his brother, Andrew Tate, were charged with the R word and human trafficking. This is from 2024, so this was from the Romanian arrest, right? Tristan Tate, a social media influencer whose brother Andrew Tate is known for his misogynistic views, used Caribbean-based Paxum Bank, and they always use Caribbean-based banks because it's an offshore bank account, and they can get around taxes that way. So you're always going to see it's probably going to be in Barbados or Bahamas, or just like Jeffrey Epstein did the same thing. They need to take it offshore, but keep it local, so it's usually the islands, to get around tax regulations and audits and things like that. To process payments from an adult webcam platform, documents leaked to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists shows. The brothers and business partners are currently awaiting trial in Romania on charges of R-word and human trafficking, and forming a criminal gang to exploit women, all of which they have denied but admitted publicly on the internet. The United Kingdom is also reportedly seeking their extradition due to allegations of sexual aggression, which obviously has come to pass now, with more updated reports on the Tate brothers. Just scrolling down really quickly, Paxum, headquartered in the Caribbean island nation of Dominica, has developed a niche as a bank to the pornography and adult services industries, generally shunned by mainstream banks due to human trafficking and exploitation risks. The leaked document shows that almost all of the deposits made to the Tate's Paxum account, about 2.6 million out of 2.8 million total, were sent by MFCXY to $50,000 over the period, according to the statement. The files are the first to reveal financial transactions between Tate and MFCXY. So they were accused of exploitation. Excuse the background noise of these drivers outside. These transactions should have definitely raised a red flag, and the account treated as a higher risk with enhanced monitoring. Okay, so that's interesting. So my questions for while I close out this live stream is, what happens when the language of discipline and command moves from battlefield language into intimate relationships using various methods, the lover boy method, whatever, romance scam type language, right? And did the Tate brothers, the brand, preserve military ideals, or did it imitate the aesthetics of authority while abandoning service and restraint? I think those news clippings that I brought up answers those questions pretty well, but I encourage people to ask their own questions and do their own research. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see to be able to compare the historical abuse of military power in foreign countries when it comes to trafficking to modern day digital trafficking within relationships. So that's all I'm going to do for this live here on YouTube. If you watch this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. And thank you for watching. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you in the next one.